Hi, my name is Matthew Cataldi, and this is a demonstration of the personnel management software that I built during my tenure with the Rockford Symphony Orchestra. This is an entirely self-contained solution and has everything from integration with Microsoft Office products to Google APIs. This is a quick 10-minute video and only encompasses the most basic features of the application. And before going any further, I just want to disclaim that any of the information that you see in this presentation has been obfuscated, so any resemblance to any real person is coincidental, save for the fact that I put my name in there just to give a point of reference, but my personal information has also been obfuscated. So let's dive right in. At first, the user is prompted with a login. This is to verify the person as well as the user permissions. The program is dynamic based on the user permissions of the person that logs in. So someone with, say, an administration credential is going to see something very different than a traditional user. As we log in, we're going to have access to the dashboard. So let me just do this real quick. Oops. I might get that wrong. And we're prompted with some information about payroll. We're just going to ignore that for now. And we're presented with the application. We now have access. There are two basic forms, two forms that are mostly used: the payroll form and the attendance form. So we're going to take a look at the attendance form. We're going to dismiss that. And as we can see, the user is presented with some information about musicians where their information is pending. So there's one little bug that I want to fix, and it doesn't make sense. I don't know why, but for some reason this works. That's a bug that is currently going to hopefully be fixed soon. Kind of on the edge of finding out what it is, so keep you posted on that. But we can see that there are pending asks to these musicians over here, and this is where the musicians that are available. If we go and search for a specific concert date, let's say Classics 2, let's say the viola section, we can see that now we've refined our search to include only Wendy Bard, who is pending. If we look here, we can see all the ones that have said yes and those that have said no. So let's just go back to pending. So this is another area that's of importance to personnel managers, is the amount of seats available and the amount of asks that can be used. The number of asks that can be used is important because we don't want to overbook the amount of players for this particular cycle. Speaking of cycle, wanted to touch on a little bit of business logic as far as personnel managers go. With any given ensemble, there's something called a season, and a season is just basically a kind of a listing of concerts and anything that goes into more or less a year's worth of programmatic activities. A cycle can contain anything called a season can contain anything called a cycle, and a cycle is anything that relates to one specific program, which there are many services, and a service, it can be either a rehearsal, a dress rehearsal, a concert, sitzprobe, any kind of activity that relates and it has an outcome with a given concert set or cycle. So put in programmatic terms, an ensemble has many seasons, a season has many cycles, and a cycle has many services. So with the attendance tracker, there are three basic attendance types: yes, no, and pending. So let's say that Wendy says yes. So great, we have one less musician to contract. So this actually dynamically brings up the form that is associated with this particular cycle. And it also dynamically brings up page 2, which is the roster page, which then we can paste that person's name that has been saved to the clipboard just automatically by clicking the yes. There's some nice functionality that goes in there. We can close it out, and next time we open it, we'll have the updated list as well. But also what's going on in the background is that Word document is being rendered into 3 different PDFs. One that includes the info sheet, which is at the top. Let's take a look at that again. So the information sheet at the top, the roster at the bottom. This is good for people involved with the production that don't necessarily need to see the info sheet. And one that encompasses both, which will be given as a cycle reminder to all musicians later on down the road. So great. Well, let's say we need to, looks like we have 2 more spots available for the viola. Let's go ahead and let's say Maya Burgess. Let's use her. As we can see, this pretty quickly brings up an email that's dynamic that asks Maya if she's available for this given cycle. And as we can see, if we click on this, we can see it only contains just the information sheet for now, but gives the musician all the information that they need in order to view the cycle. And this is, of course, through Dropbox, so whenever it's updated, all musicians will see that. We're going to say that it was sent, and we're just going to click no. And as you can see, Maya Burgess now has a pending ask. If we say no, it goes right to the next person in line. So Russell Cerneo, I'm sorry, I'm butchering their name. But let's say we want them to go ahead and send an email. Again, the system will bring up another email for us to send. Do this, and if we do pending, now we can see that Russell Cerneo is on the pending ask. So this is the attendance form. There's also some really great functionality right here written into the attendance. These are all functions in lieu of a function menu that a personnel manager can use. Let's say we want the cycle roster for this sheet. We're going to get a new one. Let's say cycle roster. The program integrates with Windows File and Folder Manager to basically ask us where we want our file to be saved to. And we're going to save this to desktop so that way it's easy to see. And it generates a PDF. And this is also based off of a report within the application itself. So when we click on it, we can now see that, oh, this has got a whole new roster of all the people that are free for this. This becomes really important for musicians that are trying to hitch a ride from Chicago out to Rockford that don't necessarily have a car. This allows them to get the basic contact information and basic location of each individual musician in the cycle. This is safe for the fact that if the musician has elected not to be contacted and not to be displayed on this sheet, then their name will not be displayed. But as you can see, there's a lot of juicy functionality here. A lot of really good stuff. Let's see here. We can go on to the payroll form for now. But one other key feature with this attendance form is the absences. You can record absences for any given musician, and this is a specialized list of musicians for the specific cycle. It's not all the musicians in the database, which there's quite a few. So we can see that, oh, Wendy Baird, she can do it, but let's say she's absent on Tuesday, and this will open up the cycle roster sheet again, so we can just say that, oh, she's missing the second day. And that lets people know that, oh, she's not going to be there that day, and it updates the same. We'll say because we'll say it's miscellaneous, who knows, and we'll say because, and that gives us a reason. And this will be apparent. This will now be on Wendy's record, so if we want to see kind of a list of absences, we're able to track that as well. So we're going to close out of this, and we'll say yes because we did a little stuff. But now the second most important part is the payroll form, and we're going to ignore that bug for now. And if we want to, we can see, let's go to that Classics 2 again. You can see that we have something here. We're going to get rid of it for now. And yes, it wants to make sure. But let's say we want to take the current attendance list and append it to the payroll. Do this. The user is going to be able to see what the progress is, and boom, we have something right there. So Wendy Bard, we saw, who's violist, who we just hired, is not able to make one service. Well, there are 5 services total, and the system knew to take one of those out. so that way the ensemble wouldn't overpay the musician for the amount of services that they have. And this has all been calculated out. And then here's her total. We got to go back and do one thing, which is adjust her number within the roster, but that's an easy fix. There's some also really cool functionality within this payroll as well. For instance, if one of the musicians had to be late by, let's say, an increment of 15 minutes, sometimes the ensemble wants to make sure that they're not paying for that. So we can mark in a 1, and then it will deduct that amount based off of their service scale rate. And we can also do some miscellaneous, like if we gotta give them 25 bucks, some miscellaneous if there's $25 that needs to be accounted for with their union dues. Doubling is a pretty cool feature. You just double click, and basically if they have a second instrument, it comes up there. The per diem bug is a little bit, or the per diem, which gives musicians an option to elect to take money instead of having a provided meal, is a little buggy right now. That's a current bug that's currently being investigated, but it's there too. For heavier instruments, there's something called cartage, which then they can use because they have to have physically bigger cars, so that's kind of a consideration. And of course, union dues as well. Speaking of union dues, if we want to see those union dues, same kind of Windows interface. Just goes here, and we have a dues report. And this is another kind of report that's exported into PDF or using Adobe. And we can see basically all the musicians who are in the union that the ensemble has to pay dues for. And you can see that here's a total and where to send it to. And we'll go here. So we can also generate a payroll, Excel sheets from this as well. So now I just gotta find it. Let's see. Cycle rosters, address. Oh, jeez. Here we go. Payroll save to file. Same kind of basic interface. Go here, and then we'll have an Excel sheet. Now this Excel sheet, the program actually interfaces with Excel to make sure that the payroll form, because it has sensitive information like social security numbers and withholdings, stuff that can be kind of used for identity theft, it is password protected. And so this uses the same, this uses the password that is common to all of the related activities for the ensemble. And once we do that, we're in and we can see the payroll. Another really cool feature about the program is that on the ensemble form, which we'll see in just a bit, we can dynamically adjust these columns right here to whatever the ensemble wants. So if, for instance, they don't have cartage, or they don't have a per diem, or they don't have doubling or mileage, these columns will not show up. So it only gives the person who's running payroll the information that they absolutely need. And that's the payroll form. There are also a lot of other forms, like the ensemble form, which houses the defaults for the entire ensemble. You can see there's a lot of information right here. This really helps with the user experience and managing administrative privileges for people. There is a season form, which does more or less the same. It just makes it a little bit more specific to that specific season. Stuff for rates like mileage rates can be here. What's the most that a musician can make, etc. Cartage. Cycle gets even more specific yet, and it has a listing of the services. Currently, there's no form for the services. It really wasn't needed when I was conducting my job at Rockford, but other ensembles could definitely use a more cycle-specific form, and that could be one of a wish list kind of approach. The instruments and the dress. How many instruments? This is how the system knows how many instrumentalists to book. This is the current attendance, if there's any absences. This is also for adjusting the substitute order, so if a section leader wants to override it, they can. and any comments to the players, general and specific. These will go in the cycle generated email to all of the musicians later on. Let's see. There's also an auditions kind of module which helps maintain auditions. So when you have candidates, boom, you can see their emails. You can see when they did it, if they have a deposit check for consideration, the different rounds and the positions that are available. Staff and payroll still have to be scaled out, but hopefully that will be soon. There's an addresses thing, which is really cool. This actually integrates with Google API's their distance matrix API, and if you do this, then it will bring back a list of the mileage as calculated from this venue to this address. There's also program settings. This has to be more developed, but it kind of has program defaults for across all users and ensembles. There's also a musician participation form, which is really good for tax time, for mileage. A lot of orchestras don't pay or can't afford to pay for standard rate mileage according to the federal reimbursement rates. So this program dynamically figures out the difference between what they were paid and what they should have been paid, and then that way they can declare that mileage off of their taxes, which actually I've gotten a lot of props for, and it's saved a lot of musicians a lot of money come tax time. So that concludes the demonstration of this software. I hope it gives who's ever watching kind of an overview of what the capabilities of what it can do. And of course, there's other forms here that we didn't get to, other functionalities that are really cool. But if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. LinkedIn, email is good. And thanks again for watching.